Hey everybody out there, this is Andy Passmore with Movement Mortgage, doing a Facebook Live interview with Jamie Felder with Allstate Insurance. I'd like to welcome him today. Thanks for coming. I'll let Jamie introduce himself a little bit more about who he is, but I'd like to ask a couple questions first. So Jamie, How long have you been in the insurance business?
15 years.
15 years.
Yes, sir.
All with Allstate?
All with Allstate.
Why did you choose Allstate?
A few different reasons. One, Allstate has a strong brand. It's nationally known. My father was also in the insurance industry. He was a previous Allstate agent. And Allstate afforded me the opportunity to own my own business.
Cool, that's awesome. So we're here today to talk about considerations, 5 considerations when trying to buy homeowners insurance. And you and I talked about this a little bit, but one of the first things you said was you know the best question to ask obviously is the company reputable? How about addressing that for us?
Sure, and that's something you want to do your research on. You know, have you heard of the company? Not just from a friend or anything else, but have you heard of the company? Have they been around a while? Have you researched on the internet what their ratings are? What their I guess their online ratings are of their agents, things like that. You want to just make sure that you're buying an insurance product from somebody that's going to stand behind it.
Okay. Now, when you say reputable, I mean just because somebody has a cool website or has really neat commercials, does that mean they're reputable, or is it more reputable to have like good reviews, good recommendations, and kind of address that?
Well, to me, especially in the digital world today, you're going online to see if a product or service is good, and you want to see what kind of star ratings those people have, what are other people saying about it, those kind of things. That's kind of the research you want to do, because you want to be able to purchase something that somebody has a good experience with.
Right. Well, and I've heard it said before that sometimes you have a good experience, you barely tell anybody, but
That's right.
When you've had a bad experience, you'll tell 10 people about it.
Exactly.
So that's a good point.
Absolutely.
One of the other questions was, does the company have a local agent and a local presence for you to visit, or is a 1-800 number the only way you can get in touch with somebody? Address that for us too.
Sure. What we find is that no matter the product or service, that most people want to connect with somebody. And so they want to connect with somebody that they can talk to, especially in an important buying decision like a home. A home is going to be one of your biggest assets, if not the biggest asset you will ever purchase. It's also going to be monetary-wise the biggest thing you ever do. So you want to make sure that you could talk to somebody about it, talk to somebody about how the coverages are, and if there's a problem or a question, know that they can answer it, and that you're talking to the same person over and over again.
Sure, and I guess part of the other question was, why is this important? You kind of answered it. It's one thing to be able to go to a website or call a 1-800 number and kind of try to figure things out, but eventually all of us come to a point when we're doing those where we get stuck on something, and it'd be kind of nice not to have to call a 1-800 number and sit there on hold and wait, because we all know what that's like. So that's a good point.
That's correct, and you want to make sure that the person that you're talking to has education in this field, and you want to make sure that again, that you're talking to the same person over and over again. That way you're getting a consistent voice, a consistent face, and it's not a round robin of people that you're talking to, because if you do call an 800 number, you're not going to get the same person twice.
Or very, very rarely.
Very rarely.
That's exactly right. Because we're calling into a call center, and that's basically all they're doing is they're receiving those calls and trying to handle problems, where I can call you directly or my agent directly and take care of it.
That's correct.
That's a very good point. One of the other questions was, is the company discussing coverage, or are they talking about price? In my line of work, in the mortgage side of things, everybody's trying to find the lowest price, because they want to qualify, they want lower ratios and all that kind of thing. So talk to us about that.
Sure. Price is important, but when it comes to insurance coverage, I don't feel like it's the most important, because when something occurs, whether it be small or large, when something happens, Are you going to call your insurance carrier and ask how cheap was my insurance, or are you going to call them and go, what coverage do I have? And if that person hasn't discussed that coverage with you, in a home buying situation, it could be replacement value versus actual cash value or depreciation. It could be how they're calculating your replacement value, how they're calculating how to cover your personal property, how to calculate the pricing on the policy, what they're doing to calculate that, what are your deductibles, other things like that. Those kind of things are coverage. And if somebody's just giving you, spitting out numbers and then giving you a price, have they really discussed what you need?
Sure.
And if they haven't discussed what you need, why haven't they?
That's right. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I'll go and ask everybody now that may be watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching a pre-recorded version of this from today, if you'll go ahead and subscribe and follow us anytime that we do any of our live videos, you'll be notified so you can jump on live videos. I'll be doing these from time to time with special guests to talk about things that home buyers and maybe even real estate agents need to know. So hop on there and subscribe, and then if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them to us. We're also looking at my laptop so I can see questions coming in. So we'll go on to the next question. So one of the questions I've been asked, and I've actually dealt with in the past myself, is did you have an umbrella policy as part of anything else? So talk to us about umbrella policies.
Sure. Any good insurance agent or insurance company should discuss an umbrella policy with you. It can also be called an excess liability policy or a PUP policy, personal umbrella policy. That is a liability policy that exceeds what your homeowner's policy or your auto insurance policy will cover. And in today's society, you want to make sure that you have your assets protected, whether that be the equity in your house, your savings accounts, your checking accounts, equity you could have in your cars, just in case something happens and you're liable for injuries to someone. You want to make sure that you have an umbrella policy to cover that.
Cool. I just want to say hey to Julie out there. She actually commented out on there. It says quality matters. So thank you, Julie, and personal service. That's great too, obviously. Does the company offer more than just home or auto insurance? Why is that important to somebody who's just trying to buy a house, just want to get in a house and move into it and not have to worry about anything else?
Sure. Again, if you are talking to the same person over and over again, you want, most people want a one-stop shop. They don't want to have to go through 4 or 5 different people to purchase different products, whether that be auto insurance or boat insurance or motorcycle insurance or an umbrella policy. Also, when you're dealing with homeowners insurance and you're purchasing a property, flood insurance sometimes comes along with that. And can that agent handle the flood insurance? Also, on the other side of it, can that insurance agent protect you against something happening to you and protect your finances? So can they offer mortgage protection, life insurance? Things like that you want to make sure you have in consideration when you're talking to an insurance company or an insurance agent, because you want that one-stop shop to be able to discuss anything and everything.
Well, and I didn't really plan on talking products, but so Allstate, I assume, offers flood insurance.
That's correct.
And any type of property insurance.
That's correct.
that you would possibly need. Okay, so I had, again, I want to ask everybody, if you haven't had a chance to, go ahead and subscribe to us. So that way you get notified the next time that we have a live event. Again, we're here with Jamie Felder with Allstate Insurance, talking about the 5 considerations when buying homeowners insurance. And I read an article, I think you and I were talking about this. I read an article the other day, and I want to say it was from an agent, but I don't know who, I don't know where. And it said something about losses, past losses on a piece of property that a homeowner wanted to buy, and that would affect the rate that homeowner was going to have, even though he didn't live in the home and there were losses on the property or within the neighborhood, and how it adjusted the rates for him buying that house. Could you address that for me?
Sure. The rates nowadays, especially in Georgia and South Carolina, are really individualized, and so the losses are only tracked to you as a person.
Okay.
They are only tracked to you as a person for a 7-year period. Underwriting can look at it for about a 5-year period, and they're chargeable to you for a 3-year period. But somebody's previous loss on the house, that's information that you can have, but that's not necessarily used to drive the homeowner's policy or the homeowner's policy rate.
Okay, all right. And what would you say to any prospective home buyer right now, say first-time home buyer?
Sure.
They're looking at doing something 6 months to a year down the road, and they want to make sure that they're ready, financially. They want to make sure that they're stable enough. What are some of the things that play into what the rate's going to be? Because they're a first-time home buyer, they never owned a home. Is it a higher risk? Is their credit score is a different risk? And address a couple of those if you could.
Sure. One thing you want to look into is you want to look into renter's insurance. Because the renter's insurance will not only protect your personal property, but it'll also, in most cases, give you a discount going into purchasing that home. As far as the insurance side, that renter's insurance offers the insurance company a track record on you and if of some sort of claim history. So if you don't have that claim history going in, then that rate can be slightly higher. But as far as insurance-wise, obviously you want to get with a loan officer to get your budget, and then once you've narrowed it down to a few properties, then at that point you call an insurance company and go, okay, what does the insurance look like on these properties? The other big consideration in Georgia and South Carolina in the last 4 or 5 years is how old is the HVAC unit and how old is the roof. The roof age can definitely move the rate on your homeowner's insurance, and as you're looking for prospective homes to live in, you want to look at those kind of things.
So the quality of the property then does play a role in what the rate may be.
That's correct.
If I'm looking at a house that's got a 5-year-old roof versus a house that's got a 20-year-old roof, the adjustments will be made on rate.
That's correct.
And y'all do that. How do you do that? How do you find out that information? Based on the appraisal or based on what information?
It can come from the client, it can come from the real estate agent, it can come from the previous homeowner, it can also come from the appraisal.
Okay. What does somebody need? So if somebody today wanted to get a quote on homeowners insurance and they've picked out a property,
Right.
what information do you need from them, or any insurance company would need from them, to give them a good rate, or to give them a rate at all?
The main information is just personal information, so name, full name, date of birth, what address you're living at now, what the new property address is, and then what's the age of the roof on the property. Now, if it's a new build, a lot of that information will not be online, so we can't gather that information. So there'll be more in-depth questions about that. But if it is a property that is previously built, then we can gather most of that information online and just verify it with you.
Okay. One of our viewers said, "Don't learn the hard way."
That's correct.
So what would she be referring to? You have any idea?
Don't get yourself caught in a situation where you've purchased an insurance policy purely on price
Okay.
and not done your research.
Sure.
Because if something were to occur, the biggest question is, what do your coverages look like? And if you don't have the proper coverages, then at that point you're going to be questioning, well, why did I purchase this? What have I been paying for all these years?
Sure. Well, that kind of brings back to another question we had a second ago. So if I have a claim and I'm dealing with one of these 1-800 numbers, or I'm dealing with one of these website only type places, then what's the challenge there versus dealing with a local agent?
So the local agent is versed on policy information based upon his knowledge of reading the policy and his experience. And a lot of times you can talk through potential claim information with your agent without actually filing a claim. But if you call the 800 number, they are legally bound to start a claim once you start asking that information.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I could just call you and say, hey, I'm thinking about claiming this, but I don't know that I should, and then you can give me a sound advice on that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or I can go to my tools and my claims department, or those people to ask those questions to make sure that we know the answer before, or at least know as much about the answer as we can before we start.
Would it cost me or a home buyer or anybody who's maybe even shopping for car insurance or whatever, would it cost them anything to come sit down with you and talk about what their options are?
Not at all.
Okay.
All of our consultations are free. We just need the proper information, and whether you purchase the product from us or not, at least you have the information and can make an informed decision.
Sure. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This is actually my first Facebook Live interview I've ever done. I've actually had fun doing it.
I have too.
I look forward to doing many of these. If you guys are watching right now, or like I said, you are watching a recorded version, please subscribe to it. That way, the next time we do any type of live video, you will get notified of it. If you are watching a recorded version and you still have a question, please go ahead and submit your question, and I'll make sure that I get Jamie to answer it. He's part of the co-host on this today's program. So, I just want to thank everybody again out there for watching today. It's been, like I said, it's been fun. We've been on here 15 minutes, and I felt like 5. So
That's right.
Thanks again for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.